Hello everybody, I'm Chandler. Could Reg Me Be a Scat any weirder? Hello everybody, I'm actually Roxy, in case you couldn't tell you were fooled by my amazing impersonating voice. The thing is that I'm not feeling being on camera today. I'm also quite tired and getting ready for a new semester at uni, so I thought today I would change it up a bit. Today I bring you my Booktubeathon wrap-up. This year was my first year participating in Booktubeathon and I really enjoyed it. I feel more motivated to make videos, to even try bookstagramming perhaps, and overall I just really enjoyed the experience and enjoying a sense of community with all the Twitter sprints and comments. So I did film a TBR, which you can access in the I and also in the links down below. And I also completed 5 of the 7 challenges. Although I wasn't very good at them, I tried my best. And I also got a nice set of ideas for next time. Let's start, shall we? The first challenge was to read a book with a person in the cover, and although several of the books I read during the week fulfilled this requirement, I finally chose A Season in Hell by Arthur Rimbaud. This is a prose poem that, although unappreciated at its time, turned to be quite influential in 20th century poetry. It's considered almost essential for poetry lovers. It was terrible and interesting, although the translation did miss, I believe, its more poetic quality, and it felt like I was reading prose more than poetry at times. I really enjoyed it and gave it 4 stars. However, I must admit that I think you need a bit of context to get it, as it is quite a biographical work in many ways. By this I don't intend to imply that Rimbaud's work doesn't stand on its own, but I do think it adds a new dimension. The second challenge was to read a hyped book, for which I selected The Girls by Emma Cline. This is a book I was hesitant to pick up precisely because of the hype, yet at the same time it was the hype that brought it into my life. The writing was great, intense and beautiful at times. However, I couldn't avoid feeling like this book was not what I had expected. This is the story of Evie Boyd, a girl who becomes obsessed with one of the girls from a cult in the late 60s, which leads her to tangentially get involved in the cult. This was marketed as being more about the girls in the cult themselves. However, it is more of a dark coming-of-age story centered around Evie with the cult as a motive than anything else. This was a big disappointment because it meant that the other characters weren't as developed as Evie and were brushed aside, even in spite of being infinitely interesting. Either way, I did enjoy it and gave it 3 stars. The third challenge was to read a book in one day, and for this I read Strange Weather in Tokyo by Hiromi Kawakami. This is a short book centered around the relationship of an aloof woman and her former sensei from her high school day, who is almost twice her age. The writing is subtle and evocative, really allowing the reader to get to know Tsukiko, who might just be more sentimental and profound than we initially thought. My only qualm about the translation is the fact that there wasn't a kind of cultural appendix at the end, like my edition of The Guest Cat, for example. There, they explained the significance of some important symbols and gestures in Japanese modern culture. This does not necessarily take that much away from the overall experience, but there were certain dialogues during which I felt I might be missing something because I didn't know what different brands of sake or kinds of flowers meant, for example. Apart from that, I really enjoyed this book and I gave it 3 stars. For the fourth challenge, I introduced a little change. I was originally planning on reading Night Walks, a collection of essays by Charles Dickens, but I was not really in the mood for something as intense. Instead, I chose to pick up the 10th book in a series of unfortunate events called The Slippery Slope. This in order to fulfill the challenge of reading a book with a main character that's very different from you. Although Klaus is a bibliophile and hence similar to me, the Baudelaire sisters are quite different from me. Plus, as an only child, 3 sibling orphans is quite a change of pace. Although not my favorite in the series, as it is more of a transition book, this one gave more clues about the whole fire. More I will not say, as anything else beyond this would be a spoiler. This series honestly just keeps getting readier and better, and I just cannot wait to dive into the next one. Challenge number 5 was quite controversial as it involved finishing a book completely outdoors. Although a lot of people hated it, I personally love reading outdoors, yet I was concerned for the weather as it is winter here in Chile. The weather cooperated just fine and I was able to sit down on a park bench and read. It was soothing and relaxing. The book I chose was A Cup of Sake Beneath a Cherry Tree, as it was both short and ideal to read outdoors. This book, which is number 11 in the Penguin Black Classics collection is an extract from Kenko's essays in idleness. I enjoyed this, even if some of Kenko's views are quite dated. However, I did think it was very randomly put together, or so it seemed. It was a nice introduction, and it did make me want to read more Kenko. Challenge number 6 gave me an excuse to pick up a book I had been eager to read since I bought it in March. Eat Me, A Natural and Unnatural History of Cannibalism by zoologist Bill Schutt. This looks at cannibalism in both animals and humans from biological, sociocultural, and historical perspectives. Not shying away from necessary details but not falling into gory indulgence either, this well-researched non-fiction book was just what it advertised. As I mentioned in my TBR, I saw this at Hatchards in London and immediately fell in love with its beautiful cover and title, and got it right away because how could I not? Although it did get a bit sidetracked by the end, I still adored every page, and the illustrations were both helpful and interesting. Solid 4 stars, and really recommended to everyone interested. My 7th book was a short poetry collection by Carol Ann Duffy called Rapture. These were all love poems, and because love is a concept that I look at from a very psychological and social point of view, reading these poems, which were also raw and emotional, did make me a bit uncomfortable. Far from that being a bad aspect, this was exactly how I knew I was in the presence of great poetry. Duffy does not only have an exquisite style that is both simple and elevated, she also presented this collection in the chronological order of her relationship. So the first poems are all about the first meetings and not being able to stop thinking about the other and yearning for each other, while the ones at the end were much less jolly, let's say as much. There is a sense that you're reading the story of a couple, of two individuals that could also be anybody. The feeling of love portrayed in these poems is that universal. I gave these 4 stars and quite adored it. However, I wouldn't recommend it if you don't like love poems, as this collection can feel one note in this case. If you want to check her out but are not very interested in romance, you could try Feminine Gospels by her, which is much more diverse but keeps her amazing style. I'm really interested in Carol Ann Duffy now, and I think I will be picking up more of her books. And that was all I read. In case you're interested, I am currently reading The Faster I Walk, The Smaller I Am, and quite frankly being blown away by it. As I said in the beginning, Booktubeathon was really fun and I can't wait to partake in another one. I am more motivated than ever to create more videos and try new things, so you've been properly warned. I will also upload my wrap-up for my Winter Wonderland TBR, of which I didn't get to read as much but still enjoyed. I look forward to seeing your comments about the books, your Booktubeathon experience, or anything you want really. All the links will be down below, so see you next time!